This is KGW News at noon.
Listen, there's video and all kinds of stuff. I don't know if I'm even telling it right. I just know I got into mode and I needed to save my family. And that family was, at that time, everybody in that room.
That man is one of two people who helped take down the Colorado Springs nightclub shooter, and he's recalling what happened that night. Richard Fierro, a decorated Army veteran, says he and another person tackled and held the gunman down during a lull in the shooting. Hello, I'm Christine Pitawanich. Thank you for joining us. The alleged shooter, 22-year-old Anderson Lee Aldrich, is expected to make his first court appearance in the next couple days. That's according to the Associated Press. He's facing 5 charges of murder and several charges of committing a hate crime for the shooting that killed 5 and injured at least 18. Police say Fierro stopped the shooting when he tackled Aldrich, who was wearing full body armor. Fierro, with the help of a drag performer, held him down. The alleged shooter still in the hospital this afternoon. And that mass shooting in Colorado really having an impact on communities all across the country. Here in Oregon, LGBTQ plus advocates say they are heartbroken and outraged. But as they told our Christelle Kumwe, one thing they're not is surprised.
Shocked and hurt and saddened and angry and scared.
David Phones says the news of the shooting at Club Q in Colorado Springs, the only LGBTQ club in that city, triggered a wave of emotions.
Because it hits so close to home.
Phones is the owner of Scandals, an LGBTQ plus bar on Southwest Harvey Milk Street in downtown Portland.
They lost their safe place and they maybe never will find that again, and we've tried really hard to be that safe place, and you realize how fragile that can be.
It's terribly sad and really heartbreaking. But unfortunately, it wasn't necessarily a huge shock or surprise.
Blair Stenvik is with Basic Rights Oregon, a statewide advocacy organization.
Even here in Oregon, we're seeing an increase in anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric. People have to understand that when they increase that violent rhetoric, they're potentially inciting violent acts.
Reports to Oregon's bias crime hotline increased by over 50% in 2021 alone.
And even if the physical spaces where we gather change or get targeted, our community is even stronger than those physical spaces.
Advocates say places like Club Q are important to the LGBTQ plus community.
They know that they'll be affirmed, or they'll be addressed with the right name and pronouns and respected for that identity. It can be really valuable.
I think what places like Scandals bring to the community is a place where you get to be normal, not accepted, but we're normal here. Celebrate the people you love, celebrate the family you have, celebrate love over hate.
Christelle Kumwe, KGW News.
Governor Kate Brown has granted a pardon for simple marijuana offenses in Oregon. She says it'll impact about 45,000 people convicted for possession of an ounce or less of marijuana prior to the year 2016. The pardon only applies to state-level convictions. Governor Brown is also forgiving more than $14 million in fines and fees. She's hoping the pardons will help eliminate barriers for people trying to find a job, maybe housing or educational opportunities. Advocates say it is a step in the right direction, but add more should be done.
That now the state is generating hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue. We're creating jobs and people are making money off of it. To expunge those past convictions is really common sense, and it's the right thing to do, but it's just the next step in moving forward to do this for more and more people.
The governor's pardons come as she heads into her final weeks in office. Brown's term ends in January. That's when Governor-elect Tina Kotek takes over. Okay, to the Weather Center now to check in with Rod Hill. Rod, it looks like rain making its way in.
It is finally starting to pick up. On Futurecast this morning, the timing showed this steady. What's now moving in was going to be moving in around 10 o'clock this morning. Now, with that said, it still looks like once this comes in, it will be gone in terms of the steady stuff, maybe as early as 2 o'clock this afternoon. But certainly it's been a slow arrival. We now have steady rain in Salem. It's heavier up in Portland. The darker greens, it gets heavier in the yellows, heavier, and then that's really coming down between Battleground and up into Longview. Notice the back edge of the steady precipitation is now starting to work its way in along the coast. But for the next, I would say, couple of hours, potentially, this is all steady range. You can see it through Hillsboro, out to Sunset, up into the Coast Range. We have some pretty good winds that are kicking up. Now, the wind direction out of East Multnomah County is still from the east. It's been relentless. This is day 10. 32-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Once this front passes by 2 o'clock, that east wind will shut off. We have southwest winds in McMinnville to 30. We have south winds gusting to Salem in 36. West winds now behind the front up in Astoria at 36 miles per hour. And there's Newport gusting at 39. So there is some wind out there that you should be expecting in the coming hours, so if you don't have anything blowing around right now. Very wet from the Wells Fargo building camera. 41 is the early temperature. We will warm after 2 o'clock when the steady rain shuts off, and we could pop up to about 50 degrees. The forecast for the holiday weekend starts off quiet, ends with mountain snow in the Cascades. That's coming up.
Okay, can't wait to hear about it. Thanks, Rod. Now to Portland's homeless crisis. Groups that hand out supplies to people living on the streets say they can't keep up with demand as winter approaches. That's because Multnomah County is limiting both the number of times nonprofits can stop by to stock up and also limiting certain supplies. As Blair Best reports, that is leaving people who are homeless with even less.
45 degrees with rain on the way. A dangerous condition when living on the streets.
Not much movement, so you bundle up and maybe make a little fire, or, that's about all I can do.
Chris Ciccone sleeps in his truck off of Southeast MLK.
It's better than exposing yourself to the elements, I guess.
He's been homeless for a few years and knows what it's like to be without any shelter.
On Fridays over there, sometimes they hand out tents and sleeping bags, but they haven't, like you said, they haven't been doing it.
He's pointing to the colorful huts behind this fence tucked underneath the Morrison Bridge.
We do pretty amazing things with very little.
This nonprofit, called Hygiene for All, helps 100 homeless people a week. The majority camp on the Central East Side and walk into this gated area for supplies.
Menstrual supplies, soap, razor, hand sanitizer, moisturizer.
I see that some of these boxes are empty.
Yeah, right now we are down to the dregs.
Much of their supplies come from Multnomah County's Joint Office of Homeless Services warehouse, which opened during the pandemic.
Things like tents and tarps and sleeping bags are kind of beyond our budget, so we get those from there.
In an email obtained by KGW, which was sent to nonprofits, the Joint Office of Homeless Services says due to staffing and budget constraints, they're reducing how often groups can pick up supplies, from bi-weekly to once a month. They're also limiting the number of certain supplies they can take. That leaves people like Sandra Comstock with about a quarter of the supplies she would normally have.
Honestly, it's pretty demoralizing to be out here telling people, I'm sorry, we don't have these things.
The Joint Office says they recognize the significant impact this has on nonprofits, but these changes don't apply to severe weather or emergency situations. But people living on the streets need things to keep warm nearly every night.
It's important enough for life and death. Life and death, if you don't have one.
Due to the Joint Office limiting supplies, Hygiene for All right now has 4 tarps, 4 blankets, and 0 tents. That's not enough to keep up with the demand come winter. But another reason that the demand is growing is because it's those supplies that the city ends up clearing, leaving the homeless just coming back for more.
And it feels like a slap in the face, frankly.
And while Comstock knows it's just a matter of time before city crews remove the tents and tarps from the streets, she's now looking for community donations to keep up.
It's hard to feel like you're fighting a tsunami, and we care about the people out here.
In Southeast Portland, Blair Best, KGW News.
Over to the Umatilla School District now, where classes were canceled today. District officials say it's because too many people are sick. A district letter to families said more than 30% of McNary Heights elementary students were absent. Almost as many staff members were out too. At Umatilla High, 25% of students were sick. Today was the last day of school before Thanksgiving break, and now the schools will be sanitizing before students return next Monday. District officials have not been specific about the type of illness affecting students and staff.